Have you ever wondered why certain people draw others toward them as if by an invisible thread, while others remain unseen, unheard, and overlooked? It is not the surface of beauty, nor the sharpness of wit alone that casts such a spell. It is something deeper, older, and far more magnetic, a hidden dialogue between the subconscious mind and the unseen world of desire. Those who become irresistible do not stumble into it by accident. They awaken to a formula that has been whispered through the ages by mystics, philosophers, and the quiet sages of the subconscious, such as Joseph Murphy. The subconscious is not merely a reservoir of memories or emotions. It is the silent scriptwriter of destiny, weaving patterns that shape the way people perceive you before you even speak. When a woman enters a room and instantly shifts the energy, it is not the fabric she wears, but the frequency she emits. Neville Goddard would call it the assumption fulfilled, a state of being where one does not ask for attraction, but embodies it so completely that reality has no choice but to mirror it back. This is why irresistible presence is never about effortful performance. It is born from the inner command of suggestion and belief, where the subconscious becomes an altar on which you place the offering of your chosen self. Joseph Murphy taught that whatever is impressed upon the subconscious is expressed outwardly. Imagine then that your very aura is nothing more than the subconscious revealing itself in silence, your doubts leaking out as hesitation, your worth radiating as allure, your fears cloaking you in invisibility, and your inner certainty becoming the magnetic pull no one can ignore. Consider the man who fears losing a woman, but cannot explain why her absence haunts him more than another's. It is not her words, but her subconscious mastery, the way she unknowingly triggered dormant archetypes within him. The longing for the unattainable, the ache for validation, the desire to prove himself against her silent standards. A woman who has trained her subconscious does not chase, she does not beg. She becomes the stage upon which others perform their need for her recognition. She has learned through repetition and belief to impress into her own mind the certainty of her value, and the world bends to that conviction. Do you realize the extent of this power? If the subconscious is the soil, then suggestion is the seed. Most wander through life scattering weeds, planting doubts, watering fears. They affirm silently, "I am not enough." And so the harvest becomes rejection, dismissal, invisibility. But the one who understands Joseph Murphy's hidden formula becomes deliberate with her planting. She speaks to herself in whispers no one else hears. "I am desired, I am cherished, I am chosen." And the subconscious, incapable of rejecting suggestion, nurtures those seeds until they bloom in her presence. Seneca once wrote, "Man is not disturbed by events, but by the view he takes of them." The subconscious is that view, the unseen lens through which the world is filtered. A woman whose subconscious has been reprogrammed to see herself as magnetic will interpret every glance as proof of her allure, every silence as space she commands. By contrast, the woman bound by self-doubt will interpret even affection as fragile, as fleeting. The difference is not in reality, but in the mind that perceives it. And here lies the first great trigger of irresistibility: inner certainty. People feel it long before they see it. Certainty is not arrogance, for arrogance is brittle and loud, always seeking external scaffolding. Certainty is quiet, unwavering, like the ocean that does not beg ships to sail upon it, but allows them to come. You have felt it before. That person who speaks little, yet dominates the air, who does not try to convince you of their worth, yet makes you feel it without effort. This is subconscious conviction made flesh. The second great trigger is emotional charge. Joseph Murphy often wrote of the subconscious as highly receptive to feeling. It is not logic, but emotion that imprints it. In relationships, attraction is rarely rational. It is electric, irrational, often inconvenient, and yet it is born from the subconscious response to emotional intensity. The woman who embodies her emotions fully, not recklessly, but with unapologetic depth, awakens in others the forbidden longing to feel alive. She becomes the mirror of what they suppress. Men who bury grief, fear, or longing find themselves drawn to her, unable to explain the pull. The subconscious craves wholeness, and when she embodies emotional truth, she becomes the missing fragment of their own denied selves. But these triggers are not tricks, not manipulations. They are awakenings. When you speak to your subconscious with deliberate suggestion, when you rehearse within your inner world the state you wish to embody, you are not lying to yourself. You are sculpting the unseen marble of identity. Marcus Aurelius declared, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." To master irresistibility is to choose the dye carefully, to saturate the subconscious with images, words, and beliefs so powerful that the conscious mind begins to bend to them, and others unconsciously recognize them as truth. The hidden formula is not glamorous in its practice, but profound in its effect. Daily, quietly, you impress upon the inner self what you desire to radiate. You do not chase the external, for that is to water weeds. You cultivate the garden within, and in time, those around you will swear you carry something unnameable, something magnetic, something that makes them want to orbit closer without knowing why. Irresistibility does not emerge in sudden bursts. It matures in silence, growing like roots beneath the soil until it breaks the surface as an undeniable presence. The third trigger of the subconscious is vision, the inner image carried so vividly that it bends the external world into alignment. Neville Goddard called it living in the end, the art of dwelling in the reality of your desire until it feels more real than the so-called facts of the moment. When this image is cultivated, it seeps into every gesture, every word, every glance, until those around you feel its weight without understanding its origin. Picture a woman who has already seen herself adored, chosen, desired in the sanctuary of her mind. She does not wait for confirmation from others, for she has already rehearsed the outcome with such intensity that her subconscious has accepted it as reality. And because the subconscious governs tone, posture, energy, and micro-expressions, others respond to her as though the vision were already true. Attraction becomes inevitable, not because she seeks it, but because she has already lived it inwardly. In this way, the subconscious does not predict the future, it creates it. Here psychology aligns with ancient philosophy. Epictetus taught that freedom lies not in events, but in their interpretation of them. The subconscious interpretation, once trained, becomes the most potent force of all. It does not matter if circumstances appear to deny your worth. If within your inner sanctuary you continue to hold the image of your irresistibility, reality will twist itself into unexpected bridges of incident to fulfill it. A chance meeting, a look across a crowded room, an opportunity that seems random, all of these are the subconscious pulling strings beneath the stage of life. This is why those who master vision are never desperate. Desperation is the confession of unbelief, the declaration that the inner world has not yet been won. But vision turns patience into power. A woman who knows her inevitability does not rush. She radiates the calm of destiny. And men, sensitive to unspoken currents, feel in her presence a sense of inevitability too, as if she were already theirs and yet beyond their grasp, as if fate itself were pulling them toward her. The fourth subconscious trigger is silence, not the silence of absence, but the silence of command. Joseph Murphy emphasized that the subconscious absorbs suggestion most deeply when the mind is quiet, when the chatter of fear and doubt subsides. In relationships, silence has the same effect. The woman who does not over-explain, who does not justify, who does not chase with endless words, creates a vacuum into which others are pulled. Her silence is not emptiness, but resonance. It forces the other to project, to fill in the blanks, to imagine her thoughts. And in imagination, desire is born. This is why withdrawal often creates obsession. When one removes their presence with quiet conviction, the subconscious of the other is forced to confront absence. Absence is not nothingness, it is a mirror that magnifies everything unexpressed. Men who once took her for granted suddenly awaken to the storm of feeling within, not because she demanded it, but because her silence triggered it. The subconscious hates a void, it fills it with longing. But beware, silence without certainty becomes neglect, and neglect does not magnetize. The power lies not in the act of pulling back, but in the energy that underlies it. The unspoken assurance that she is whole, complete, radiant, regardless of whether she is pursued. This is the silence of the queen who does not announce her throne, the silence of the ocean that makes ships tremble by its vastness. And the final and perhaps most forbidden trigger of the subconscious is self-worth transmuted into archetype. Every man carries within him dormant images, the anima of Jungian psychology, the projection of the feminine as muse, healer, temptress, or goddess. When a woman embodies her own worth so deeply that she becomes an archetype in his subconscious, she ceases to be merely a person. She becomes a symbol, a myth, something he cannot simply forget or replace. This transformation does not require perfection. It requires depth. Archetypes are not flawless, they are timeless. When she embraces her shadows as much as her light, when she is unapologetically human, yet wrapped in an aura of inevitability, she awakens in him the longing to merge with what he does not understand. This is not manipulation. It is resonance with the collective subconscious that has shaped stories, myths, and romances across centuries. To walk this path is to move beyond mere attraction and into destiny. For Joseph Murphy, the subconscious was a divine instrument, a partner with the infinite. When aligned with belief, feeling, vision, silence, and archetypal self-worth, it makes you not only irresistible to others, but irresistible to your own highest life. And perhaps this is the deepest truth. Irresistibility is not about drawing others in, but about aligning so powerfully with your inner self that the world cannot help but orbit around you. You do not chase love, for love is magnetized to the one who embodies it. You do not beg for worth is already written in your subconscious script. The woman who commands these triggers becomes untouchable, unforgettable, undeniable, not because of what she demands, but because of what she simply is. Irresistibility, once cultivated through these subconscious triggers, begins to weave itself into every layer of existence. It ceases to be a surface performance and becomes a state of being, an invisible current running through the psyche and into the atmosphere. The subconscious does not merely shape how you perceive yourself. It scripts how others perceive you, even before they have words to explain why. This is why attraction often feels like fate. It is not random, but rather the subconscious minds of two people conversing in silence long before the conscious mind becomes aware. Joseph Murphy insisted that the subconscious is creative, obedient, and infinitely impressionable. It accepts whatever image, emotion, or belief is placed within it, whether luminous or destructive. Most people unknowingly rehearse rejection, abandonment, and inadequacy, and so their reality echoes those very fears. The woman who chooses instead to rehearse worthiness, to saturate her subconscious with images of being desired and cherished, will radiate that reality until others cannot help but respond. The subconscious mind, in this way, is the silent sculptor of destiny, carving attraction into form. Consider the bridge of incidents Neville Goddard spoke of, the mysterious chain of events that unfold once the subconscious has accepted a new identity. You may affirm within that you are irresistible, and suddenly a stranger cannot stop looking at you. Or someone from your past reaches out as if compelled by forces they cannot name. These are not coincidences. They are the subconscious rearranging the outer world to mirror the inner. This is why those who understand the hidden formula never wonder if it will work. They simply trust the process, knowing that what has been planted must eventually bloom. Stoic wisdom offers grounding here. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that the external world is neither good nor bad, only our judgments make it so. But judgments are not conscious alone. They are shaped by the subconscious, the place where impressions harden into convictions. The woman who repeatedly impresses her subconscious with her own worth is no longer disturbed by the silence of others, for she does not interpret it as rejection. Instead, she interprets it as proof of her magnetism, as space she creates, as inevitability unfolding. In this, she gains power, not over others, but over herself, and self-mastery is the essence of attraction. Emotional transformation lies at the heart of this power. Trauma often imprints deeply into the subconscious, teaching a person that love must be earned through sacrifice, silence, or endless proving. Many women find themselves repeating cycles of being unseen because their subconscious has been taught to accept invisibility as normal. But when she begins to reprogram, when she whispers nightly affirmations into the fertile soil of her mind, when she dares to imagine a reality where she is chosen without struggle, Something shifts. The old wounds loosen their grip, and a new identity begins to rise. That identity radiates through her tone of voice, her eyes, her very stillness, and others feel it. There is an alchemy in this process, a transmutation of pain into magnetism. What was once insecurity becomes mystery. What was once silence born of fear becomes silence born of power. The subconscious, like a loyal servant, does not argue with the new script. It simply embodies it. In time, she is no longer playing the role of the forgotten one, but of the unforgettable one. Napoleon Hill observed in Think and Grow Rich that a burning desire transforms the subconscious into a magnet for its own fulfillment. Desire, when coupled with belief, becomes a force no circumstance can resist. The woman who decides she is irresistible, who fuels that decision with unwavering emotion and repetition, will eventually draw into her orbit the evidence of her choice. Others may call it luck, beauty, or charisma, but it is none of these. It is the subconscious obeying its master. And yet this mastery does not enslave. The paradox is that true irresistibility is born when one is free. Free from desperation, free from attachment to outcomes, free from the need for validation. A woman who holds her worth within her subconscious is not devastated by rejection, for rejection cannot erase the conviction written within her. She does not beg, because the garden within is already blooming. She does not fear being forgotten, because she has already made herself unforgettable in the deepest recesses of the mind. Observe carefully, and you will see this in action. Two women may walk into the same room, both dressed beautifully, both attractive by conventional standards. One is ignored, the other becomes the center of silent gravity. The difference is invisible to the eye, but undeniable to the subconscious. One has rehearsed lack, the other has rehearsed abundance. One begs reality to notice her, the other has already convinced her subconscious that she is the chosen one, and so reality has no choice to comply. It is here that we glimpse the true potency of Joseph Murphy's hidden formula. Irresistibility is not something you perform, but something you embody. It is not gained through tricks or tactics, but through reprogramming the inner sanctum of belief until the subconscious itself radiates the certainty of desire. Those who master this art need not shout. Their silence is enough. The subconscious mind does not operate in fragments. It is a totality, shaping the entire field of your being. When irresistibility begins to flow from this hidden source, it does not only influence how others see you, it changes how time itself bends around your presence. People linger longer in your company. Conversations stretch beyond necessity. Glances become anchored in your direction. This is not sorcery, but psychology. The subconscious, saturated with conviction, impresses its reality onto others without words. Joseph Murphy often emphasized that the subconscious mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant, it will grow. Yet the soil is neutral. It does not care whether you plant roses or thorns, power or insecurity. Many unknowingly plant seeds of unworthiness. They repeat inner statements of being too much, not enough, easily replaceable. These seeds bloom into experiences of rejection and abandonment, which then reinforce the cycle. The woman who interrupts this pattern by planting new seeds through visualization, affirmation, and the assumption of her own value, finds her entire world rearranging itself to match the harvest she has chosen. Neville Goddard spoke of the bridge of incidents, the mysterious series of events that leads from inner assumption to outer manifestation. Once the subconscious accepts a new identity, life conspires to reflect it. Suddenly, the person who once ignored you now notices you. The opportunities you once chased begin to chase you. You may not recognize the path as it unfolds, but each step is a bridge built by your subconscious alignment. And those who encounter you along that bridge sense something beyond logic. They feel drawn, compelled, magnetized. This is why irresistible presence carries a paradox. The less one chases, the more one attracts. Desperation is the confession of disbelief. It tells the subconscious, I do not yet have what I desire, and so it manifests lack. But the one who embodies inner certainty, who lives as though the outcome is already secured, radiates a calm inevitability. This is the calm of the woman who does not beg to be chosen, for she has already chosen herself. Men feel this energy, though they cannot name it. It stirs their subconscious, awakening the primal archetypes of pursuit, protection, and reverence. Here, Jung's psychology offers a deeper understanding. The anima, the inner feminine image within a man's psyche, seeks wholeness through projection. When a woman embodies archetypal energy, whether as muse, goddess, or enigmatic mirror, she activates his subconscious hunger for completion. He does not simply see her, he sees in her the symbol of what he has long suppressed or longed for. This is why certain women become unforgettable. They awaken archetypes larger than themselves. They cease to be individuals in the memory of others. They become myths. But myths are not flawless. Their power lies in their depth, not in perfection. The woman who embraces her shadows as well as her light, who does not hide her emotional reality, but transforms it into authenticity, becomes even more magnetic. The subconscious of others recognizes her not as an image to idealize, but as a truth to experience. It is the paradox of vulnerability. When worn with certainty, it does not diminish magnetism, but amplifies it. Her tears, her laughter, her silence, all become threads in the tapestry of her irresistible aura. This mastery of the subconscious is not merely about attracting others, it is about reweaving the self. Trauma, rejection, and betrayal leave imprints that whisper, "You are not enough." These whispers, when unchallenged, dictate patterns of invisibility. But when you begin to feed your subconscious with new whispers, "I am chosen, I am cherished, I am magnetic," the old imprints dissolve. Slowly, the mirror of life begins to shift until the reflection staring back at you is no longer the forgotten one, but the unforgettable one. Napoleon Hill taught that the subconscious becomes a magnet for whatever is mixed with strong emotion. This is why autosuggestion works. Repetition alone is not enough. It must be infused with feeling. To sit in stillness and affirm, "I am irresistible," means little unless the emotion of it floods the body. When that emotion is felt deeply, the subconscious cannot distinguish between imagination and reality. It accepts the statement as truth, and life must comply. And so irresistibility is not something you wait to feel once proven by others. It is something you decide, practice, and impress upon yourself until it becomes your natural state. Each night before sleep, when the mind is most suggestible, you paint images of your desired self. Each morning, you carry that image into the day, not as hope, but as reality. Slowly, the subconscious dyes the soul in this chosen color, until everyone who meets you cannot help but see it. This is the essence of the hidden formula. The world does not make you irresistible. Your subconscious does. The external is only the echo. The inner conviction is the voice. To shift the subconscious is to shift everything. To master it is to become the one who no longer waits for permission, for validation, or for luck. You become the source, the cause, the magnet. The power of the subconscious is never loud. It moves like water, carving stone, unseen yet undeniable, shaping destinies in silence. When a woman has mastered these hidden triggers, her presence becomes less of an action and more of a phenomenon. She does not try to be irresistible. She simply is. This is the point where psychology transforms into poetry, where Joseph Murphy's lessons merge with ancient philosophy and modern understanding of trauma, self-worth, and desire. Attraction at its deepest level is not about faces or figures. Those fade, shift, and lose their novelty. True irresistibility is the echo of subconscious conviction. It is the look in her eyes that carries no apology. It is the posture that does not shrink. It is the way her laughter contains no hidden plea, only the richness of one who already knows she is enough. Others feel this truth, even if they cannot articulate it. The subconscious of one human being recognizes the subconscious of another, and when it meets certainty, it cannot look away. There is a paradox here. To become irresistible, one must first detach from the need to be irresistible. The subconscious, when entangled with desperation, manifests resistance. But when filled with quiet assurance, it flows without obstruction. This is why Neville Goddard spoke so often of living in the wish fulfilled. The woman who already feels chosen in her subconscious no longer grasps outwardly. She does not try to be attractive. She embodies it. And this embodiment is what others sense. It is the perfume of inevitability. Men especially are attuned to this energy. Beneath bravado, they are guided not by logic, but by subconscious archetypes. They feel compelled toward women who mirror what they deny in themselves. Some feel haunted by the mystery of the unattainable. Others are stirred by the depth of emotion they themselves suppress. Still others are magnetized to the silent command of a woman who needs nothing, yet allows everything. These reactions are not deliberate choices. They are subconscious awakenings. The woman who commands her own subconscious triggers the subconscious of others without effort. And yet, the most profound transformation is inward. Trauma often scripts the subconscious with cruel precision. You are unworthy. You are forgettable. You must prove your value. These scripts become self-fulfilling prophecies, echoed again and again in relationships that wound. But there is a liberation in recognizing that the subconscious can be rewritten. Through repetition, visualization, and emotional rehearsal, one can dissolve the old script and replace it with a new one. I am chosen. I am cherished. I am the center of gravity. Slowly, as this becomes the new foundation, the outer world shifts. Rejection loses its sting because it no longer defines identity. Silence from others is no longer proof of invisibility, but a stage upon which her light can be felt more strongly. Seneca once wrote, "He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary." The subconscious magnifies unnecessary suffering by replaying old fears. But when mastered, it becomes the opposite, a source of unnecessary joy, where one feels chosen and cherished before the world has caught up. And because the subconscious shapes behavior, energy, and magnetism, the world eventually does catch up. This is the great secret of attraction. It is never the external chasing the internal, but always the internal writing the external. Napoleon Hill's teachings remind us that the subconscious, once ignited with desire and emotion, becomes relentless. It will pull circumstances, people, and opportunities with a gravitational force. This is not mystical fantasy. It is the result of aligned focus, energy, and conviction radiating outward. The irresistible woman has aligned her subconscious so fully that she no longer sabotages herself with contradictory beliefs. She does not say, "I am worthy" by day and "I am unlovable" by night. She is whole, undivided, consistent, and that consistency is what makes her unforgettable. This is why the truly magnetic do not argue, plead, or perform. They stand, they breathe, they radiate. Others orbit around them because the subconscious mind recognizes stability, certainty, and depth. Just as a flame draws moths not by effort, but by being itself, so does the irresistible draw others by simply existing in her fullness. But irresistibility is not an end. It is a doorway. Once mastered, it reveals that attraction was never the goal. The goal is freedom. Freedom from needing others to validate worth. Freedom from chasing affection. Freedom from the cycles of pain written by old wounds. The subconscious, once commanded, becomes a servant of destiny rather than a prison of the past. The woman who awakens to this truth no longer fears being abandoned, for she no longer abandons herself. She no longer fears invisibility, for she cannot be unseen by her own inner gaze. And here lies the culmination. Irresistibility is not something to be gained, but something to be remembered. It is already within, buried beneath layers of doubt, shame, and inherited scripts. The task is not to create it, but to uncover it, to command the subconscious to reveal what was already true. When that happens, she does not simply attract a reality, she creates it. The woman who commands her subconscious does not attract a reality, she creates it. If these words stirred something deep within you, it is not an accident. Your subconscious is already reaching for more. Do not let this awakening fade into the noise of daily life. Anchor it, feed it, expand it. Subscribe now, because each video is not just advice, it is a key to unlock the forgotten power within your mind, the hidden psychology of attraction, and the ancient wisdom that reshapes destiny. Share this with someone who needs to remember their worth. Leave a comment below and tell the universe what you are choosing to embody from this moment forward. Let your declaration be the first step of reprogramming your subconscious. And above all, never forget, you are not chasing love, you are becoming it. You are not waiting to be chosen. You are the chooser. The work begins within, and here you are not walking that path alone. So subscribe, join this journey, and let us continue unraveling the forbidden psychology of desire, magnetism, and self-mastery together.